So in previous class of our classical genetics, we had learned about the types of alleles, why the Mendel chose the pea plant, what are the character that has been studied, and Mendel's monohybrid cross. Now today we are going to learn the Mendel's dihybrid cross. In Mendel's dihybrid cross are made between a pea plant with round and yellow seeds and one with wrinkled and green. The all F1 hybrid give yellow and round seeds. Since yellow color is dominant over the green and the round shape is dominant over the wrinkled, when the F1 hybrid plants are further crossed to each other or allowed to self-fertilize, an F2 generation forms as represented in this figure. Now we have one question. Is the segregation of seed color characters independent of that of the seed shape? Or are there the two characters somehow tied together? That means originally we have taken the yellow and round color seeds and green and wrinkled color seed. Now the question is that whether the yellow color is always associated with the round one and green color is always associated with the wrinkled one or not. To know the answer of this question, if we carefully analyze the F2 generation plants that are being produced after the self-fertilization between the F1 plants, we can find that there are yellow round color seeds are there. Similarly, yellow wrinkled color seeds are there. That means out of the 16 seeds, 9 are yellow round and 3 are yellow wrinkled. That means yellow color is not tightly associated with the round shape. Yellow color can also be associated with the wrinkled one. Similarly, we have also observed the production of the green round and the green wrinkled seeds. That means the green color may also go through the wrinkle shape and also go through the round shape. That means there is all possible combination of the progeny can be obtained. That is the experiment of the Mendel's dihybrid cross. So in conclusion of the Mendel dihybrid cross, the law of independent assortment are given. This law states that assortment of gene of one pair is independent of the other pair at the time of gametogenesis. Each pair of contrasting character behaves independently and bears no association with particular character. Because of such independent assortment of characters, new combination of character are produced in offspring. Okay. Now let's move on to the incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance is a condition when neither allele is dominant over other. The condition is recognized by the heterozygote expressing an intermediate phenotype relative to the parental phenotypes. For example, in Mirabilis jalapa, that is 4 o'clock plant commonly known as, when red flowered plant is crossed with white flowered plant, pink flowered F1 plants obtain. Instead of red and white color, we have obtained the pink colored plants. If the pink flowered F1 plants are crossed, then F2 plant appear in a phenotypic ratio of 1:2:1, having red, pink and white. In this case, the red color producing gene is not completely dominant over the allele producing white color. So genotypic and phenotypic ratio is same and equal to 1:2:1. That is known as the incomplete dominance. Now the codominant allele. alleles that lacked dominant and recessive relationship and are both observed phenotypically to some degree are called codominant. So the phenotypic effect of each allele is observable in the heterozygous condition. The heterozygous genotype give rise to a phenotype distinctly different from either of the homozygous genotype. For example, the alleles governing the ABO blood group in the human is a good examples of the codominant allele. The A and B alleles are responsible for the production of the A and B antigen found on the surface of the RBC. The A and B allele actually coding for an enzyme known as glycosyl transferase. Each cause a different modification to the terminal sugar of mucopolysaccharide that is known as the H structure found on the surface of the RBC. Look at this picture. Here the RBC surface composed with the RBC surface carried a mucopolysaccharide that is made up with fucose, galactose and N-acetylglucosamine. This structure is known as the H structure, and this antigen is also known as the O antigen. That means fucose, galactose, N-acetylglucosamine, this mucopolysaccharide is known as the O antigen. Now, when this antigen is acted upon by an enzyme coded by A allele, that means A glycosyl transferase enzyme, a additional N-acetyl galactose amine residue is being attached to the middle galactose residue, and this new antigen that is circled in the green box is known as the A antigen. Similarly, when the O antigen or the H structure is acted upon by the B enzyme coded by the B allele, a galactose residue, additional galactose residue is attached with the middle of the galactose of the H structure, and this blue circled structure is known as the B antigen. That is the biochemistry of the production of the A and B antigen on the blood surface. That means if A and B both allele are absent, that means there is no conversion of the H antigenic structure. So this antigen is known as the O antigen only. So the allele A is codominant with the allele B. Both the allele A and B is completely dominant over allele O, which falls to specify any detectable antigenic structure. Now look at this table. In the genotype AA, that means the A and A both allele are capital A and capital A, so the H antigenic structure is acted upon by the A enzyme and produce the antigen A, so the blood group is A. Similarly, if the genotype is A and O, that means one of the allele carries the enzyme A enzyme and another allele not have any enzyme. So, but still, as because one allele is there specifying the enzyme A glycosyl transferase, so the antigenic structure is being produced, that is the A, so the blood group become A. Similarly, if the genotype of a person is BB, capital B, so similarly the B glycosyl transferase enzyme is being produced by the B allele, and therefore the antigen is being represented as B antigen and the blood group become B. But if the individual containing B in one chromosome and O, that is no allele, specific allele, that is known as the O antigen in the other chromosome, so BO also leads to the production of the B antigen and the blood group become B. But what happened when A and B both alleles are present in the chromosome? Now, as because A and B both are present, the A produce the enzyme A glycosyl transferase, B produce the enzyme B glycosyl transferase. So both of them produce these two different antigen on the RBC surface, and therefore the antigen A and B both are present on the RBC surface, therefore the blood group become AB. Similarly, if a person is genotype is OO, that means there is no glycosyl transferase enzyme, so the antigen is remain as H antigenic structure and the blood group become O. So that is the examples of the codominant allele, where both allele when present together, their characters are being expressed in the phenotypic expression of their character. That is, neither one is dominant over each other. Now the gene interaction and epistasis. According to Mendel, genes functioning independently of each other. That means each of the 7 traits considered was controlled by single gene. But many traits of an organism are determined by the complex contribution of many different genes. When two or more different non-allelic, specifying non-allelic genes influence the outcome of single trait, this is known as the gene interaction. Epistasis is a good example of gene interaction. Now, what is epistasis? Epistasis is the term applied when one gene masks or inhibit the expression of another gene at distinct locus. We have already found that if capital T and small t is there, capital T inhibit the expression of the small t. So that is the things about the dominant recessive relationship, where only one allelic genes are involved, pair of allelic genes are involved. But when this kind of interaction is going on between two different non-allelic genes, this is known as the epistasis. So any gene that marks the expression of another non-allelic gene is epistatic to that gene. The gene suppressed is hypostatic. Epistasis is different from dominance. Epistasis is the interaction between different genes, that is non-allelic, and dominance is the interaction between different allele of the same gene. Here is the comparison. Now in dominance it is a allelic suppression, whereas epistasis it is a non-allelic suppression. In dominance it involves single pair of alleles. In epistasis it involves two pair of alleles. In dominance, a gene suppresses the expression of its allele. In epistasis, a gene suppresses the expression of its non-allele. In dominance, recessive allele is only suppressed, whereas in epistasis, allele suppress the effect of both dominant and recessive non-allele. In dominance, the effect is only due to dominant allele, but in epistasis, it may be due to dominant or recessive allele. Now there are several types of the epistasis. The first one is dominant epistasis. When out of the two genes, the dominant allele, that is for example capital A of one gene, masks the activity of allele of another gene, for example B, and express itself phenotypically, then A gene locus is said to be epistatic to the B gene locus. The dominant allele A expresses itself in the presence of either B or small b allele. Such type of epistasis is termed as dominant epistasis. Color of squash dependent on this following pathway. Now look at this pathway carefully. Now initially there is a white substance. If this white substance is acted upon by an enzyme known as enzyme A, which is coded by either capital A or capital A small a allele, then the purple color product is being formed. Similarly, if the white substance is acted upon by an enzyme B, which is coded by either capital B or capital B small b allele, then the red color product is produced. Now here this capital A and capital B, these two are non-allele. They are in the distinct locus of the chromosome. Now, still the A gene is able to control the B gene expression. If A is present in its capital form, in its dominant form, then the expression of the B, whether it is present in the capital B form or small b form, its expression is not there. So that is the pathway. Now look at this example. So here the first P1 generation plant, capital A, small b, it is a purple color because look at this pathway, because only enzyme A is produced from the capital A. So therefore the white substance is converted into a purple product. So the color of this product is purple. Similarly, in the another plant, plant, that is the small a and capital B, here there is no enzyme A. So from capital B genotype, the enzyme B is produced, and enzyme B acted on the white substance and produced the red product. Clear? So this is the purple color plant and there is a red color plant. So from the purple color plant, the AB gametes, and from the red color plant there is a small a capital B gametes are being formed. Now these two gametes are fused and producing the F1 plant that containing the genotype capital A capital B small b. Now as I told you in this pathway that capital A, when it is present in its dominant form, that is capital form, it inhibit the expression of the B if it is present in the B, whether it is present in the capital B form or small b form. That means only enzyme A show its effect, that is white substance is converted into purple product. So that's why all the F1 plants are purple color. Now from the F1 plant, there is a if it is self fertilized with another F1 plant, self fertilized between the F1 plants, so the gametes that are being produced, these are the capital A capital B, capital A small a capital B, small a small b. Now in this checkered board of the F2 generation, look at the there is this is the 16 type of plants are being produced. In the 16 type of the plant, capital A capital A and capital B, what is the color of that? It is purple, because capital A, when it is present, whatever the situation of the capital B, situation of the B, A is showing its effect only, that is white substance is acted upon by the A and it is converted into purple. That means whenever there is a A is in the capital form, there is always a purple product. So that's why see, there is a purple product. Wherever there is a A is in the capital form, there is a purple product. But when A is in the small form and B is in the capital form, then the red product is being formed, because enzyme B is there and enzyme B acted on the white substance producing the red product. So that's why there is a red product. But what happened when A and B both are in the small form? That means there is no enzyme A, either enzyme A or enzyme B, there is no enzyme production. So that's why the white substance remain white, so the plant is white there. So therefore from this F2 generation plant, we are able to found that there is a 12 purple plant, 3 red plant and 1 white plant. So that is the ratio of dominant epistasis F2 generation plant, 12:3:1. Clear? Now in the recessive epistasis. Recessive epistasis is also known as the supplementary genes. Supplementary genes are pair of non-allelic genes of which one produces its phenotypic effect independently in dominant state, but another cannot produce phenotypic effect independently. However, latter can produce its effect when they are together in dominant state. If there are A and B two non-allelic genes, A can produce its phenotypic effect in dominant state. Okay, but second gene B can produce its effect when they are present together, that is capital A and capital B form. The coat color of mouse, it is the example, and using this following pathway. Here the white substance is acted upon by the enzyme A, which is coded by the allele capital A or capital A small a, and producing a red product. Now this red product is acted upon by the enzyme B, which is coded by the capital B or capital B small b allele, and producing a purple product. Now in the P1 generation plant, if the plant genotype is capital A and small b, from this pathway you can understand that the F1 generation parent 1 is red, because parent one is red because only the enzyme A is produced, and this enzyme A catalyzed the white substance into a red product. Similarly, if the parent 2 genotype is small a and capital B, that means the white substance is not converted to red product due to the lack of the enzyme A, and as because there is a no red product, so that's why although the enzyme B is present, but the enzyme B, as because there is a no substrate of the enzyme B, that is the red product, so purple product is not formed. So that's why the original substance is remain in its white form, so it is the white. So now from here the gametes are being produced, and now in the F1 plant, the F1 plant genotype is capital A small a, capital B small b. Now in the F1 plant both the enzymes are being produced, that is enzyme A and enzyme B both are able to produce, so that's why white substance can be converted into red product and red product can be converted to purple product, so that's why the final product is purple in the F1, all the F1 are purple. Now, when the F1 are self-fertilized, the gametes that are being formed, now in the F2 generation found in the checkerboard, you can find that whenever there is a capital A and B together, that is capital A and capital B is present together, all are purple. But when capital A is present alone, that is capital A is present alone, B is not in the form of the capital B form, so enzyme A is present there and there is no enzyme B, so white substance is converted to red product only, so that's why these genotypes are red. That's why capital A, small b, and these are the red colored product. But what happen when B is present in the capital form and A is present in the small form? So that's why the enzyme is not there, enzyme A is not there. So white substance is not converted into the red product, which is a substance for the enzyme B. So that's why capital A, small a, capital B, and small a, capital B, small b, these are the white. Similarly, the small a, small b, it is in the white because of the lacking of the enzyme A and enzyme B. So therefore, the F2 generation, we can able to find the 9 are purple, 3 are red, and 4 are white. So this is the ratio of the ratio is 9:3:4. Now we move forward to the another kind of the epistasis, that is known as the duplicate recessive interaction. Now what happened in the duplicate recessive interaction? In duplicate recessive interaction, the white substance is acted upon by the enzyme A, which is a product of the capital A or capital A small a allele, then it is producing white substance again. Now this white substance is acted upon by the enzyme B, which is a product of the capital B and capital B small b allele, and producing the red substance. Now if the two F1 two plant P1 generation plant, that is the capital A small b, so it is remain white because only enzyme A is there and enzyme A producing a white substance. Similarly, if the genotype is small a and capital B, then it is also white because there is no enzyme A, so that's why although enzyme B is producing, but enzyme, due to the lack of the enzyme A, it is remain white. But the F1 generation, that is the capital A small a and capital B small b, because of the presence of two genes, enzyme A and enzyme B, that is the red color products is being formed. So when these F1 generations are again self-fertilized and the F2 generation plants are observed, you are able to find that where there is a capital A and capital B together, the red color substance are being produced, all are red where there is a and B together present. But when capital A is present alone, then there is a white colored product. When there is a capital B is alone, there is a white product. So that, and when there is a no enzyme A and a no enzyme B, in case of the small a and small b, the last one, it is also white. So the phenotypic ratio in the Mendel's experiment, that is the Mendel dihybrid ratio, it is 9:3:3:4. But here in duplicate recessive interaction, the Mendel's ratio are being changed into 9:7, 9 red and 7 white. If both the gene loci have homozygous recessive alleles and both of them produce identical phenotype, the F2 ratio becomes 9:7. Both the dominant allele, when present together, complement each other and are called complementary genes and produce a different phenotype. Now there is a comparison between complementary and supplementary gene. In complementary genes, both the non-allelic gene pair independently produce similar phenotype. But in supplementary genes, out of the two non-allelic pair, only one is able to express its effect independently. In complementary gene, both the non-allelic gene produce completely new trait. But in supplementary gene, characters of independently expressing gene is modified. So here is the pathway. In case of the complementary genes, the white precursor substance is acted upon by the enzyme A, produce white substance again, and this white substance is further acted upon by the enzyme B, produce the red substance. But in case of the supplementary gene, the white substance is acted upon by the enzyme A, producing a red product, which is further acted upon by the enzyme B, producing the purple product. Now the next one, that is the duplicate dominant interaction. It is also a kind of epistasis. Look at this pathway. Here the white substance is acted upon by the enzyme A, producing the red substance. Similarly, the white substance is acted upon by the enzyme B, producing the red substance. That means the conversion of white to red, the duplicate same kind of pathways are there, and this pathway can acted upon by the enzyme A or enzyme B. That's why this interaction is known as the duplicate dominant interaction, because duplicate pathways are there for conversion of one substance to another. So here the first P1 P1 generation, that is the capital A and small b, it is also red. Similarly, small a, capital B, it is also red. And the F1 generation, that is being produced capital A small a and capital B small b, it is also red, because either enzyme A or enzyme B, if it is present, then there is a red color product. So in the F2 generation plant, you can find the all are red except small a and small b, where the enzyme A and enzyme B are lacking. So that's why it is the white substance. So in this duplicate dominant interaction, we are able to find that in this kind of interaction, if enzyme A or enzyme B, whatever it is present, the phenotype is red. Okay, and if both are absent, then there is a white colored substances. If the allele of both gene loci produce the same phenotype without cumulative effect, the Mendel's dihybrid ratio 9:3:3:1 modified to 15:1. Here two different non-allelic genes, that is either A or B, code for enzyme that are able to catalyze the same reaction. So that's why it is also known as the duplicate dominant interaction. Okay, so today up to this, and second in the next class we are moving on to the another part of the classical genetics. Thank you.